And something told me that split second, he's dead. I didn't understand how or what happened. I scaled that fence, because we have a gate that goes down to the driveway, like I was fit and could do that kind of stuff. But I remember opening the door and he had his hand on the door and his foot, you know how you use your foot to open it. He was like this, like his eyes wide open, staring at me. And my first instinct, I punched my dead child in the chest. And so I was like, what? Wake up, what is wrong? And I let out this scream that I didn't even know that I had in me. Like, I couldn't do it today if I tried. It was this, I can't even explain the scream. But people came running from blocks away.
Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to the Recovery Couch, a place where real stories are shared, hard truths are faced, and hope is still allowed to breathe. I'm your host, Brandon Couch, and today's conversation is a tender one, but also an important one. In today's episode, I'm joined by Jennifer Bennington, a mother who loved her son and loved him deeply, and a mother that now carries the unimaginable weight of losing him. Jennifer opens her heart and shares the story of her son, Caleb, a miracle child who overcame early trauma. Caleb was a devoted father and a young man who, like so many, encountered struggles that ultimately led to a tragic fentanyl poisoning. This conversation isn't just about loss. It's about love. It's about the bond between a mother and her son. It's about the ripple effects of addiction, the danger of toxic relationships, and the silent devastation fentanyl continues to leave. Jennifer also speaks candidly about grief, how no two journeys look the same, and why accountability, awareness, and community support are critical if we're going to stop losing more sons, daughters, mothers, and fathers. If you're a parent, a loved one, someone in recovery, or someone who has been touched by addiction, this episode is for you. This episode matters. Caleb's story matters. And remembering him is part of honoring him. We'll get into all of that and much more right after a word from our generous sponsors. This episode of the Recovery Couch is proudly supported by Greg Swartz at RE/MAX Victory and affiliates. Greg is not just a trusted real estate professional. Greg is someone who believes in people and second chances. And Greg also believes in building strong communities. Whether you're buying your first home, selling a place filled with memories, or navigating a new season of life, Greg leads with integrity, compassion, and professionalism. Call Greg at 937-477-8975 today and tell him the Recovery Couch sent you. The Recovery Couch is also grateful for the continued support of JB Davis at South Dayton Toyota. JB is known not just for helping people find reliable vehicles, but for treating every customer with honor, honesty, respect, and care. At South Dayton Toyota, focus isn't just on selling cars. It's on building long-term, long-lasting relationships and serving the community well. If you're in the market for a vehicle and want a good buying experience that values trust and transparency, I encourage you to contact JB Davis at South Dayton Toyota. And now, let's return to this important conversation with Jennifer Bennington. Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Recovery Couch. I'm your host, Brandon Couch. And today I'm sitting here with a good friend, Jennifer Bennington, who's willing to open up about some difficult times in her life. And I'm just honored that she chose to come to the show and be brave enough to tell her story. So join me in welcoming Jennifer to the show. Jennifer, how you doing?
I'm pretty good. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
It's my pleasure, Jennifer. So the way I'd like to start this conversation, because I just want to let all the listeners know this is going to be an emotional conversation, and it's going to be a good conversation.
Yes.
So, Jennifer, why don't you tell us about Caleb?
About Caleb. Caleb was my youngest son. He was born in 1998. It was just pretty much after he was born, I had divorced his father, so it was just me and him and his brother. So it was like the three musketeers. We did everything together. He was a little handful from the beginning. Just always into stuff. Would always get hurt doing something, and I cannot handle blood at all. It was like remember one time my oldest son came running in. Mom, lay down. I knew something happened because I got to lay down. He's got to put a wet cloth on my forehead. And I'm like, oh, dear Lord, what happened? He goes, Caleb has a hammer stuck in his forehead. He was hitting ants on the concrete. And I had taken it away from him multiple times, hit it, but he got it back. And it claw hit him in the forehead. So that was the first real bad incident for him. And then I remember a few years later, I used to breed horses, and we would go over. We lived right next door to the farm where the horses were. The two boys would get in the back of the truck, and I would drive over. They'd jump out, go get the feed pans, only if the horses were in the back. And they got out and got under the fence and got the pan. And right as Caleb, I believe he was not even, I think he was like 21, 22 months old, turned around like this, and my stallion came out of the lean-to, and he's not a very friendly stallion, and he like ran circles around him until he fell, or almost fell, and the stallion kicked him right in the chest, threw him up in the air, and came down and hit a rock. And I scaled that fence. He was not breathing at all, like, and I ran out. I lived on a state route. I ran out in the middle of State Route 350, screaming with this limp body, and like 6 or 7 cars drove past me. And I got down on my knees and I prayed to God, please send me somebody. The next car was an EMT that had been off duty, and he'd never carried his radio off duty, and he had it. He had said, I've never done this. I've been 18 years. This is the first time I've ever had my radio. The next car was a trauma nurse, and he was pronounced dead. When they came, the EMTs came, and they resuscitated him twice. They care flighted him to Children's, and they told us he'd never walk or talk again. Well, that next morning, I was laying in bed with him, and he sat up and he goes, I'm hungry. And I remember just punching my husband in the chest saying, go get him a donut and a balloon. This is a miracle. And there he is, just eating this donut, running around with this balloon. And the trauma team came walking in, and they kind of walked in the door and then walked back out, looked at the number, looked at this file, and they were like, we can't explain this. We cannot explain this. This is a miracle. Like, medically, this should not be happening. And he was fine from that day forward. So I almost lost him then. And going forward, Caleb, he pretty much did what Caleb wanted to do. Didn't care about the consequences. He felt invincible, pretty much. Like, that's not gonna, mom will take care of it. It was most of the time, and I sometimes did. I admit that. But I ended up moving him his senior year from East Clinton to Waynesville because he was running around the wrong kids, and I just didn't want him caught up in that stuff, because he had a lot of potential. His brother went off to college and played football, and so he made something of himself, and he felt like he was in his shadows, but I always believed in him. So I moved him and quote unquote ruined his life, because I took him away from all his so-called friends. And then after that, he adjusted. He got a job where I worked, and he was doing great. And then he had his first child. It was kind of like, hey mom, guess what? I'm seeing this girl, and we're having a baby. It's like, no, what? I'm not old enough to be a grandma. But that was 5 years ago that he had Augie. Augie's his oldest. And then he ended up having two girls after that with another girl. I don't get to see them because she's not, let's just not even talk about her.
All right.
So he always lived with me. If he was, if he was getting along with the girl's mom, he would stay there with her. But majority of the time he would come and, he had his room. I told him he was welcome anytime. He doesn't have to call, and, he has a key, come in. This is your home. Well, should I get into that part now? Do you think? Or
Yeah, Jennifer, you can get into whatever you want. Well, I think what I'm over here thinking is, it sounds to me like you and Caleb were close.
Caleb and I were best friends. We argued a lot, probably because we were so much alike. But what I would give to hear him argue with me again. But yeah, we would every Sunday he'd be like, "Hey mom, it's time to go." We'd go to the rich areas. It's trash night, and get some goodies. And we had a blast. And normally it would be when I'm in my pajamas, slippers, hair just look like I just got out of bed, but I'm going right now just like this. And he would drive, and we'd take turns, and he would love to wait till I got to whatever I was going to go look at and take off. So then I'd be running down the road in my pajamas with whatever find I found. And he just loved doing that. And I remember one time he called me, "Mom, you're going to be so proud of what I got out of someone's trash." And he brought it to me. It was this big basket full of artificial greenery. It was actually very nice. And he's like, "This is for you." And I'm like, I'm so proud. It's like, so I have that still sitting in my kitchen. But we would do stuff like that. We'd go, it was like Caleb always made sure that I wasn't alone on the holidays. Because I don't have like the family that gets together. Never had that. Um, so he would come get me. We'd go have Chinese or whatever was open on the holiday, and he would spend the day with me, and and make sure that I wasn't alone. We'd fight, but I wasn't alone. And he had a big heart, but he was a big pain in the butt too at the same time. So, whew.
Let me ask you this, Jennifer. If there was one characteristic of Caleb that you would want the entire world to remember, one good his best quality, the quality that set him apart, that drew you towards him as a best friend, what quality would that be?
I think we got closer when his first child was born because I saw how he was with him. He was probably the best father, best dad I've ever seen, and had no experience with that. His father was not in his life. He was always he was always out to make him proud, and he never acknowledged his existence. And for him to go without sleep, work two jobs just to give them what they needed, not just financially but emotionally. He was always so loving with those children, and I was so proud of him from that day. I was up until that day, I was so disappointed in him. I was like, "You're not married, I can't believe you're having a child." And that day that he was born, it made me see him in a different light. Like, wow, this is what you're meant to do. And he would work third shift and stay up all day long with all three of those kids while his then girlfriend would go to work. And then he'd take a nap here and there whenever they'd lay down and then go up and work again. And uh, he didn't complain at all, never complained.
So you mentioned he had a big heart.
Big heart. Yes, he loved animals, little kids, older people. He would get out and help older people, like load their groceries or whatever they needed if he saw that they were struggling. And he even asked me, he said, I'd like to go up to the retirement home, and because he remembers going to see my grandmother. And he was like, there's people in there that nobody even visits, Mom. And that's just the type of person he was. He was very caring, very big heart. Always trying to get me to take in animals. He had a little fawn come up to him we were walking in the woods, and it followed him all day long. He almost had me to where I put it in my car.
A deer?
Yeah. Yeah. It's like, sure, we can put that in our backyard. That'll work.
So some of it sounded like, if I'm gathering this correctly, some of the same reasons that you just were so drawn to Caleb as a son and a best friend was because of his loving heart, but there was also some sort of orneriness that was endearing, but still pushed you a little bit.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. He, like I said, he did what he wanted to do when he wanted to do it. He just didn't think there was any consequences whatsoever for anything. He got in trouble with the law a lot, hanging around the certain people, which I'm not saying he wasn't to blame at all, because Lord knows he was. I remember one time police officers came to my door and said that my son and another individual was shooting a firearm at a nature preserve. Yeah. So, what? A firearm? What?
Yeah.
Yeah. So he had purchased a gun and thought it'd be cool to just go shoot it.
Which most young men, boys, want to shoot guns.
Right. Right.
That doesn't justify actions.
The nature preserve.
Yeah, right. So how old is he when he becomes a father?
Let me see. 20
years old.
Yeah.
You start to see him in this new light of like, that's what he's meant to do. His calling was to be a dad. Your heart melted at the way that he loved his children, the way he provided, the way he was present. So take us through the next 3 years of Caleb's life. Becomes a dad in 2020. What are the next 3 years like? And what is your relationship with him like over those next 3 years?
Not as close because of he had gotten a new girlfriend, and we just didn't click. I don't know why. I mean, I know now why, but he lived in Sabina with her, and I lived in Waynesville, which, it's not that far, but when you work as many hours as we both did, it is. But he would always come over on the weekends. And he ended up having Josie, his second child, during the pandemic. And I wasn't allowed in there. So I didn't get to see her after she was born until later, until they got out of the hospital. And I really didn't get to see her much then because of me and the mother's relationship, lack of relationship. She pretty much would keep them from me, like, Mom, I can't come. She took all the car seats out of the car before she went to work. So, and stuff like that. And I couldn't make it there and back to go to work. So, it breaks my heart because they're part of him and I can't see them. But he ended up having two girls. So he had 3 children under the ages of 3. Grief.
It's and I hope, Jennifer, my prayer right now is that you don't hold any sort of blame for yourself for not, being able to see them. I obviously saw you visibly get upset there, and your love for those children is enough. I just want you to. I hope you understand that.
It's hard sometimes. It's like I feel like I should do something, but I don't think personally I couldn't imagine having 3 kids under 3 for 24 hours by myself right now at this age. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and you say that endearing to the fact that Caleb was doing great as a father.
Oh, yeah.
So
He was. Yes. He even took on her oldest child. So,
4 kids.
Yeah. And he didn't complain. And, she acted like he was her dad. And that, it warmed my heart because, wow,
Yeah.
So he did. He was a great father. Great.
And Caleb still matters. He still matters to
He does.
you. He still
Yes.
matters to his children. He still matters to the mothers of those children. And I want to make sure that we give that proper space.
Yes.
Because we get to a point in this story where things go awry.
Right.
And as you know, I don't think everybody understands this, but just because something goes awry in somebody's life doesn't mean it doesn't define that person. I've known situations, Jennifer, where somebody's lived a good, clean, healthy, loving life for 25 plus years and then make a few bad decisions, and people will define them for a few bad decisions. That's not how it should be. You got a bigger sample size of a good life, loving people wanting to take in deer as pets
Right.
than you do of any, any sort of, behavior that many people may choose to,
Right.
Want to define somebody by. So tell us about where it goes awry. What starts happening? What do you notice? What's going on?
In 2023, I got a phone call from Caleb. He was very upset, and I was like, "What's wrong?" He goes, "Mom, they fired me." I said, "What? What happened?" And he lost his job that he absolutely loved. He he was a forklift driver, loved it. He said, "They let me go, and I don't know what I'm gonna do. I don't know what I'm gonna do." And I'm like, "Bub, just come home. You're gonna be fine. You're gonna be fine. We'll figure it out." And I found out that he could go and, I don't know how, go through a review board and get his job back. And I said, "I've talked to enough people there because I used to work there. They said you have a chance of getting your job back." I'm not getting that job. They made me, yeah. So I was like, okay. I said, "Well, then I guess you need to hit the pavement and find a job." "I'm never going to find a job that pays that good." "You found that job. You'll find another job." Well, he ended up having a lot of trouble finding anything. And he got a job at I think it was a truck stop, Hardee's or something. And he was so embarrassed. He wouldn't, like, it was so hot outside. He had to wear his uniform. He'd put a jacket on to cover it. He didn't want anybody to see the Hardee's. I was like, "Bub, don't be embarrassed. You have a job. Be proud of that. You know, you're doing the best that you can. This is a temporary situation. It's going to get better. I promise you." And, well, it didn't. So moving forward, it was July 3rd, 2023. I got a phone call from him saying that his girlfriend kicked him and his son out, and they were walking down the highway, and I needed to come get them. And I was like, Bub, I got to go to work. And I looked and I was like, okay, I'm on my way. I'm coming. Went and picked him up. He came home, we got home and he's very upset. And I was like, it's okay. You guys fight a lot. This is probably for the best. Just take some time to you're never going to be happy. You're never going to make someone else happy unless you're happy with yourself. Listen to me talking about relationship advice. Anyhow, and I said, you guys aren't happy. It's like toxic. But just don't focus on that. So you have Augie here. Just enjoy that and we'll get through this. You're fine. You're going to have to stay here tonight without a car till we figure out what's going on because I got to go to work. He's like, let's go get Mexican real quick. I said, Bob, I got to lay down because I'd only slept like 3 hours. And I said, but I'll go next time. Well, he went to Mexican and came home and I went to work. Worked all night. Got home about 5 in the morning. He was asleep. Augie had gone home to his mom's. And he woke up when I walked through the kitchen. He goes, hey, Mom, can I borrow your car? I got to take these parakeets. Someone wants the parakeets. I was like, heck yeah, you can take my car to get rid of those stupid parakeets. We had gotten these parakeets for my grandson. A huge cage. There's a door on each end. Caleb went in on one side and I went on the other. We both came out with a parakeet stuck, biting, blood just everywhere. Both of us had bandages on our fingers when he said, I found a home for him. I'm like, heck yes, get him out of here. So I said, just make sure you're home in time for me to go to work. He goes, oh, I'm only going to be gone about a half hour, 45 minutes. I heard him leave at 7. He was very clean. He was no, I shouldn't say that because his room was a disaster. But personally, his hygiene was great. He'd taken a shower. And I'm thinking, I took a shower to take the bird, whatever. So I just went back to sleep. And he came out of the bathroom and he's like, hey, Mom. And I was like, yeah. And he goes, thanks. I love you. Ooh. And he walked out. I went back to bed. About 10:15, I rolled over and I heard those darn birds. And I thought, what is going on? Got up and there they were, still in his room. I'm like, what the heck is going on here? And I look out and I saw my car in the driveway. I was like, okay, maybe change his mind. And I went outside and I walked and I looked at my car. Nothing. Turned around. I thought, well, maybe he's in the pool. So I went back there. He wasn't in the pool. And I was like, well, I need to get back to bed. Night shift is hard enough. So I thought to myself, well, maybe he's out running around with his buddy. And I stopped dead in my tracks. Caleb doesn't do that. He doesn't run around with his buddies. And right then I pivoted and I saw Adidas through my windshield in the front seat of my car. And something told me that split second, he's dead. I didn't understand how or what happened. I scaled that fence, because we have a gate that goes down to the driveway. Like I was fit and could do that kind of stuff. But I remember opening the door and he had his hand on the door and his foot, you know how you use your foot to open it. He was like this, like his eyes wide open, staring at me. And my first instinct, I punched my dead child in the chest. And I was like, what? Wake up, what is wrong? And I let out this scream that I didn't even know that I had in me. Like, I couldn't do it today if I tried. It was this, I can't even explain the scream. But people came running from blocks away. I guess I screamed that loud. He was gone. He had been in there dead for 3 hours in the heat, closed up in a car, not running. So he purchased what he thought was a Percocet from his friend, took half of it, and there was enough fentanyl in half that pill to kill 10 adults. There was no Percocet in the Percocet. It was totally fake. They say he didn't feel anything. That doesn't help. He was alone. It looked like he tried to get out of the car. He didn't want to die. He didn't. I know he didn't want to die. He had just spent like $500 on fireworks for that night for his kids. He couldn't wait to go get his kids to let them all off. And I thought, oh Lord, we're gonna get in trouble for this. You know, there's a lot back there. It's a horrible thing. He didn't want to die. His choice killed him. And whenever people hear that's how he died, the first thing they say, oh, drugs. Oh, like it's his fault. It wasn't his fault. He was murdered. And that's what I believe. He was poisoned. It's my own father told me he did it to himself. And I tried to explain to him the way that I explain it is, let's say you walk into a bar and you order a beer. The bartender puts arsenic in it. Did you order that? No. And it kills you when you drink it. Well, you shouldn't have ordered the beer, is what he said. So you're going to go through life not doing things just because. No, there's somebody needs to be held accountable for this. And my son is not the person that should have been, and he did to the ultimate. His friend got 13 years, and that's not enough. I wish I only had to wait 13 years until I got to see my son again. You know, it's like it's forever. I don't even know where to go from there. I'm sorry.
No apology necessary. That's a heavy part of the story. Let's let that breathe for a second. I want to say, Jennifer, thank you for the courage and the bravery to open up about that. And thank you for trusting me in this platform with that story. I think you are correct. The drug supply is unpredictable and lethal.
Yes.
And from everything I gathered in our discussion before we hit record, is that you do want to bring awareness to that?
I do. I wish I would have known about it. You know, I had no idea fentanyl. What is fentanyl?
So he was poisoned by fentanyl.
It's fentanyl. Yeah.
Fentanyl poisoning, which is unfortunately, Jennifer, it's common.
It is very common. 2 out of 3 teenagers' deaths are from fentanyl. We're losing, what is it, every 7 minutes? Someone to fentanyl poisoning. And I never thought it would happen where I live. To me, to my son, I never thought it would happen. Don't ever think that it can't happen. Just need to talk to your kids, just talk about fentanyl. It's in everything nowadays. Back when I was his age, I'll admit, yeah, I tried stuff. You can't do that nowadays. You cannot. When I hear, I'm in charge of all the drivers at work, and they're younger, a lot younger than me. And I hear them talking about partying and how they did this and that, and I'm like, look, you know, don't do that. Don't. Don't even take a pill from so and so up at the front desk. Don't do it. You don't know where they got it. You don't know anything about it. Just like the kid that murdered my son. That's how I feel. He murdered my son. He said, "Oh, I got it from the wrong pile." Really? You have a pile of pills? Just why? And I'm sure he's not the first one that he caused to die. from what I gathered. So, I mean, it's scary. It is very scary. I don't want anybody to go through this. It is the loneliest thing because nobody understands. They think that I should be over it. Um, Move on. He's in a better place. It doesn't work that way. It does not work this that. I mean, I've heard. Well, my grandfather died, or God, I know what you feel like. My dog died, and it was like my child. What? You know? So it's not. It's getting better, the fentanyl, because of our president. I don't know if you want me to talk about politics, but no, he is putting a, it's dropped up drastically in the past year or so. Since so, I mean, we need to start holding people accountable. And if you sold someone something with fentanyl and they died, you should get life. That's how I feel.
Well, Jennifer, I do want to say that shouldn't have happened.
Right. It shouldn't have.
Um, and then for you, find your son. I don't want to sit here and act like I understand because I don't.
I still drive that car because I'm too upside down in it, and it's every time I open the door, I see him. Doesn't matter what time of day it is, I see him. I don't think any parents should have to bury their child, let alone find them. I'm thankful. I am thankful that he was somewhere where I could find him, if that makes sense. Like my oldest son said, Mom, be thankful that we aren't out looking for him, or he's never found or something. Which, okay, for a second I was okay with that, but it's a daily thing. It doesn't matter that it was 2.5 years ago. It doesn't matter. It's like the day of every day. And I've talked to other grieving parents. I went to Washington, D.C. for the fentanyl awareness, and that was probably the best thing I've ever done, because I finally felt support for the first time, understanding. So a lot of people, I've lost my whole family and all my friends since this happened. Not because they passed away, just because they walked away. They're gone. Haven't spoke to my father in 2 years. Um, my mom and we're not close like we were. I think we talk maybe once every 6 months, and it's like, she's like, "Oh, you're not over it yet?" Yeah, we're gonna go another 6 months and I'll try to give her another chance. But it's very hard and lonely, and you just don't understand. And thankfully, I threw myself at my job and got promoted like 3 times since. So I'm doing good there. But if I don't have that, then this is what you see at home. Just, I'm a mess. But people just, when I'm around people, it's a weird feeling. It's like you can hear them, but it's in the back is the echo of what reality is. And it's like, God, I can't believe he's gone. I can't. And if I start talking about him, I feel like I'm annoying people, making them feel uncomfortable. And I don't talk about him to get people to feel sorry for me. I just want people to not forget him. It's the biggest. I don't want him forgotten.
Wow.
And that's every year on the anniversary of his death. We take some of his ashes and go to one of his favorite fishing holes because he loved to fish. Um, this past July, it was me, my oldest son, his fiance, and my two somewhat elderly ex-in-laws, and we went to Fallsville. I don't know if you've heard of that. It's like in Highland County, almost to Highland County. It's the most beautiful waterfall area, but you have to walk like a half a mile through the woods. Yeah, that was fun. My oldest had to like pick up my ex mother-in-law and carry her. But that's what we did. And we're probably never going to run out of fishing places because that's. I remember one time we were at a stoplight and he said, "Mom, pick me up in about an hour." And he had the fishing pole in the back. I said, "Where are you going?" He's right here. Okay. It's like, I hope I remember where I dropped you off at.
Let me rewind for a second. So you went to Fentanyl Awareness March in D.C.
Mm-hmm.
What did you learn there that you would like to tell other people that you feel like would generate awareness for fentanyl poisoning?
Well, that it can happen to anyone. That you don't have to be an addict. You don't have to be homeless. You can be. I mean, I met a lady whose 14-year-old son. She found him dead in his bed because he had been poisoned by fentanyl. It can happen to anyone. They were both doctors. They're another friend. Her husband is a doctor. She's a nurse. Found their son who was poisoned also. It can happen to anyone. Don't judge something that shouldn't be judged. Like, just talk to your kids. I wish I would have known about it because I sure the heck would have every other word. You know, be careful. Don't trust. Don't trust. You cannot trust anybody. Um, there were people that there's a little baby that died because his mother was doing drugs and there was fentanyl in it and the baby got into it. He died, 18 months old. Did he ask to die? No. It's just, it can happen to anyone. Just be aware.
Well, and I thank you for bringing awareness to such an important topic. You are allowing your story and your son to bring awareness to people who, and that in my opinion is the greatest way to, when you say, I just want people to remember Caleb. I think that's what you're doing today is you're helping people remember uh, who Caleb was.
He did exist.
He did exist. He was loved. Not only was he loved others. He was a good father. He was a good son. He was a good man. Uh, and his story can live on through this platform, through bringing awareness to a worldwide epidemic.
Yes.
And
It's wiping out a whole generation and it's got to stop.
I want to offer you some encouraging words. Awareness saves lives. Awareness saves lives. And I'm so grateful for you to come onto this episode today of the Recovery Couch to bring such a difficult topic and to show courage on such a difficult topic, because you are bringing awareness to an obvious problem that
Yes.
we face, not just across this nation. I think this is an international problem. If the president is addressing it, it's a problem.
Blow them boats up.
Right. So, and we're trying to do our part. So President Trump, if you're watching, we're trying to do our part. And that's not even a joke. Jennifer's trying to do her part. I'm trying to do my part. And it takes a nation of millions if we intend to stop the killing. So everybody has a part to play in this. And accountability is a big part, Jennifer, holding people accountable for their decision making. And sometimes that's tough because sometimes it's the people we love being held accountable. But accountability is a crucial part in us overcoming these epidemics. Jennifer, let's go with one last question. So, if there's anything out there that you could offer to grieving parents,
Just I don't, I really, I don't even know how to deal with it, but what helps me is just trying to think of all the good things. I'm very, very, very grateful to God that I got 25 years being his mom. I just wish I could have more, but just don't be afraid to reach out. That's one thing I didn't do for the longest time. And the best thing is to surround yourself with others that know what you're going through. It's a different kind of grief, totally different kind of grief than I, anybody. Um, just don't be afraid to reach out to there's many, many platforms. Lost Voices of Fentanyl is a great one. Um, they're the ones that did the march at DC.
You said Lost Voices of Fentanyl.
Yes. Um, they're great. The support that I've gotten from them, like I'll post a video of all Caleb's pictures with the saddest song that I could ever find. I'll put that on Facebook, and bam, 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 I'll be getting private messages or phone calls from all my grieving mothers that know, hey, she needs somebody. Because one thing about grief, when someone loses a child, the worst thing to say to them is reach out anytime, call me if you need anything. You cannot process that. Like, how do I do that? So you won't. You definitely will not reach out to so and so down the, that you used to hang out with. You won't, because you don't want to bother them. They don't understand what you're going through. They're gonna, no, you're not gonna do that. So that's like the worst thing to do is say that to someone that's grieving. It's a totally different kind of grief. Something I'll never get over it. I'm getting through it one day at a time. I'm learning to adjust. That day that he passed, that scream that came out of me, as soon as I released that scream, the old me is gone. It was gone. And I had to learn to live with the new me. And I'm still trying to figure out, who am I? What's my purpose? Everybody tells me, oh, you got those babies, those grandbabies. Yes, and I love them dearly. Augie is probably my best friend. Like, he tells me, he knows when to hug me. He knows what I need, and he's a little Caleb. Literally, he's just like Caleb was when he was growing up. He's the best thing for me. I'll admit to you, though, it was hard to see him. It was hard, and I needed time for myself. Take time for yourself. Don't care. Don't even think about what anybody thinks about it. Like, yeah, you're going to grieve. Oh, no, I can't come to your party because I'm sitting here crying. And that's what I want to do. Embrace your grief, cry, scream, do whatever you need to do for you. There's no time limit on it. There's, do what is best for you to get through that day. It's pretty much all you can do.
I agree with you, Jennifer. There's no time limit on it. There's no right or wrong way to talk about it. It's not a standard operating procedure when it comes to something this
But a lot of
difficult.
people think it is.
Well, hopefully
Yeah.
they watch this episode and get an opportunity to learn that it's not. And you said something that I do want to touch on before we hop off here. Of I don't know who I am and what is my purpose. I think you're fulfilling your purpose today. I think through a lot of well-rounded men and women that have been put into my life that God's aligned me with, he showed me that really my ultimate purpose is just to be loved by him ultimately. Right. And um, then to use the pains that I've been through as my purpose. And that's what you're doing. So that's why I started this platform. I didn't want to talk about the stuff I've had to talk about. I didn't want to write about the stuff I've had to write about. You didn't want to talk about this for a long time. And I want to quick caveat. Thank you for coming on the show and talking about this. I know it's difficult and I'm very grateful. But I think that heavens are rejoicing, and I mean this from the bottom of my heart right now, as they watch you raise awareness for something that's been taken out. God's children. It's who they are. So and so at the funeral home, or at who shows up at the crime scene, might judge him as something other than God's children, like this. No, that is a loved child of God, no matter what. And so are you, and you always will be. And you are doing his work right now by choosing to turn your pain into purpose. It's raising awareness for other people so we can try to do our steps in this process of helping regain lost ground. And drugs are, they're taking we're losing a lot of ground with drugs.
And drugs is a judgment against you, pretty much. And an overdose is when someone takes too much of something on purpose or not. Poisoning is when someone is given something that they're not aware of and they die. There's a difference, because I can't stand when someone says fentanyl overdose. No, he died of a fentanyl poisoning. There's a difference.
And to be clear, because there is a difference, and I wanted to honor that difference throughout this episode. When I collectively just kind of generalized drugs there, it wasn't me saying that.
Oh, I know.
It was a drug overdose. I know it's fentanyl poisoning, but I'm saying the drug epidemic.
Yes.
We're trying to regain lost ground, and conversations like these help people become aware, because there are people out there that think like it won't happen to me, and they may listen to this episode and then it's like, hold on, wait. Two doctors, child, Jennifer's, I came from a family where, I know that it was a surprise to most of my family members that I went through what I went through. So
could happen anyway.
Awareness. We're just trying to raise awareness.
That's it. And if I could get in someone's head and help them save their child to prevent them from having to go through this, because that would be fantastic if I could do that. I just would love to get up on the rooftop now and just scream it out, but I won't.
Well, you don't need to, because we just we just recorded it.
Right.
Jennifer, before we close, I just want to say his name again. I want to thank you for trusting me with Caleb's story.
Thank you.
Yeah, I mean that. And for your love for him. And you're honoring him today. You're showing how much he meant to you, how much he continues to mean to you. Yes. And I guarantee you he's happy about that.
He's probably like, Mom, shut up.
Well, he mattered, Jennifer, and he still does matter. He does. He still does matter. So I'm so honored that you chose to come onto this show to honor your son and your story. And I just want to thank everybody out there for listening. These are the types of conversations that a lot of us tend to shy away from, the ones that bring emotion out of us, because so often we want to act like we have it all together. And, how are you? I'm great. But these are the types of conversations where people heal, where healing happens. And I would like to encourage all the listeners to invite yourself into opportunities to talk about the things that are hurting you, to allow someone else to talk about the things that are hurting them. Because together we can make a difference. I want to thank you all for joining this episode. I want to thank you again, Jennifer. Yeah, my pleasure. And I just want everyone to remember that you always have a seat right here on the recovery couch.